These are the stories making the headlines at this hour. North Korea claims it on Sunday successfully test-fired a solid-fuel intermediate-range ballistic missile that is capable of striking Guam and Japan. This comes as North Korea's foreign minister is set to visit Russia amid increased military collaboration. The Israel-Hamas war entered its 100th day over the weekend amid threats of a wider conflict. Tensions remain high in the Red Sea as the U.S. launched more strikes against Yemen's Houthis while sending a private message to Iran. Taiwan has elected pro-independence Lai Ching-te as its new president, who called the election a victory for democracy. The U.S. welcomed the result, but President Biden said that the U.S. does not support the independence of Taiwan. Good afternoon. North Korea claims it on Sunday successfully test-fired a solid-fuel intermediate-range ballistic missile that is capable of striking Guam and Japan. This comes as North Korea's foreign minister is set to visit Russia amid increased military collaboration. Bae Eun-ji has our top story.
North Korea's state media claimed Monday that it successfully tested a solid-fuel intermediate-range ballistic missile carrying a hypersonic warhead the day before, as part of the regime's regular activities to develop its weapon systems. It said the test firing did not affect the security of neighboring countries and that it had nothing to do with any situation in the region. The North fired the missile toward waters off its east coast at about 3 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. The South Korean military assessed that the missile, launched from an area near Pyongyang, appears to have been an intermediate-range ballistic missile that traveled about 1,000 kilometers before landing in the East Sea. It added that it shared information on the missile with the U.S. and Japan, and that it's analyzing further details of the launch. In the meantime, the top nuclear envoys from the three nations held a phone call on Sunday and strongly condemned the launch. They said the latest launch has once again shown that North Korea's illegal provocations are the causes of instability in the region, and warned that the security cooperation between the three countries will only become stronger as the regime continues to engage in more provocations. Sunday's missile launch comes about 2 months after the North claimed to have successfully tested new solid-fuel engines for intermediate-range ballistic missiles. Solid-fuel-powered missiles are harder to detect than liquid-fuel ones. And intermediate-range missiles have a maximum range of 5,500 kilometers, which means they're capable of striking U.S. military bases in Guam or Okinawa in Japan. Meanwhile, the North state media also said its foreign minister Choi Sun-hee has left Pyongyang to visit Russia. It said her visit from Monday to Wednesday is at the invitation of her Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov. The two isolated governments have been forging ties following a rare summit between their leaders last September. Officials from South Korea and the U.S. have said the North appears to be supplying military equipment to Russia for use in its war with Ukraine, while Russia was providing technological support for the North's satellite and missile programs. Bae Eun-ji, Arirang News.
The Israel-Hamas war entered its 100th day over the weekend amid threats of a wider conflict. Tensions remain high in the Red Sea as the U.S. launched more strikes against Yemen's Houthis while sending a private message to Iran. Lee Eun-jin reports.
On Saturday night, the events of October 7th were commemorated by thousands of people in Tel Aviv, including families of those killed or kidnapped, carrying posters and wearing T-shirts featuring the faces of their loved ones. Just after dawn 100 days ago, thousands of heavily armed Hamas fighters stormed through the Gaza border fence in several places and killed more than 1,200 people. According to Gaza's health ministry, Israel's subsequent attacks against Hamas have led to 23,938 dead and some 60,582 injured to date. Without making a distinction between civilians and combatants, the ministry says roughly 70% of the dead are women and children. Nearly 8,000 more people are reported to be missing, presumed dead under rubble. Meanwhile, a day after the U.S. and U.K. launched airstrikes targeting Houthi rebels who have been attacking ships in the Red Sea, the U.S. military struck another Houthi-controlled site in Yemen early on Saturday. U.S. Central Command said the follow-on action was conducted by the Navy destroyer USS Carney using Tomahawk land attack missiles, and that the missile strike was based on the determination that commercial vessels in the Red Sea were at risk. While Iran continues to deny its involvement in attacks by the Houthis in the Red Sea, Tehran is suspected of supplying the Houthis with weapons, and the U.S. says Iranian intelligence is critical to enabling the Houthis to target ships. U.S. President Joe Biden said that after the latest strikes on the Houthis, the U.S. delivered a private message to Iran about the Houthis in Yemen. Without giving details, he said the message was delivered privately and that the U.S. is well prepared. Conflict in the region could widen as Yemen's Houthis have vowed retaliation, and U.S. military and White House officials said they expect the Houthis to try to strike back. 이은진, Arirang News.
Taiwan has elected pro-independence Lai Ching-te as its new president, who called the election a victory for democracy. The U.S. welcomed the result, but President Biden said that the U.S. does not support the independence of Taiwan. Lee Seung-jae has more.
After winning Saturday's presidential election, Taiwanese Vice President and now President-elect Lai Ching-te described his win as a victory for the community of democracies, adding that the Taiwanese people have successfully prevented intervention by external forces through their actions. Lai made no direct reference to China. During his victory speech, he further stressed that the election results highlighted Taiwan's choice of democracy over authoritarianism, and that he would walk side by side with democracies from around the world, expressing his inclination toward independence for the island state. In another reference to China, Lai said that the election results showed that Taiwan had successfully resisted efforts from external forces to influence the election. Washington responded to the election victory for the pro-American candidate, with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken congratulating the Taiwanese people on President-elect Lai's victory, saying it demonstrated the power of democracy and the electoral system. He also added that the relationship between the United States and Taiwan will deepen through democracy. President Joe Biden, however, said Saturday that the United States does not support the independence of Taiwan. The U.S. is expected to unite more strongly with Taiwan in the future in the economic and security fields to keep China in check. The president-elect's push for Taiwan's independence, combined with closer security ties with the U.S., could potentially spark further tensions between Taiwan, China, and the U.S. 64-year-old Lai secured over 40% of the votes on Saturday, beating out new Taipei City Mayor Hu Yu-ih of the main opposition Kuomintang and Ko Wen-je from Taiwan's People's Party. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Security officials from 83 countries have gathered to discuss peace in war-torn Ukraine. The four such Ukraine peace talks were held on Sunday in Davos ahead of the World Economic Forum. They were called by Ukraine to promote its peace formula, which includes the full withdrawal of Russian troops from its territory. Russia was not invited. Ukraine highlighted the positive sign that more non-Western states like India, Brazil, and Saudi Arabia participated. But China declined to attend, and the talks saw limited progress. Ukrainian President Zelensky will speak at the World Economic Forum and will likely hold separate meetings with leaders. With the upcoming Lunar New Year holiday season, authorities will roll out a set of measures to ease financial burdens. Exemption from electricity rate hikes, reduced interest payments, and discounting food prices are among the measures. Moon Hae-ryung with the details.
As part of efforts to support people's livelihoods this year, South Korea will be extending its electricity rate freeze for vulnerable groups. This, along with other measures, was discussed during a meeting of senior officials from the government, the presidential office, and the ruling People Power Party on Sunday. Around 3.65 million households will be eligible for the extension of the year-long rate hike freeze, which was implemented after the government raised electricity prices last May. Next month, around 400,000 small business owners and self-employed workers will be able to enjoy reduced interest on loans from non-bank financial institutions. This means that they can save up to 1.5 million Korean won, or more than $1,000 on interest payments. With these measures coming just ahead of the Lunar New Year, which falls on February 10th this year for South Korea, the government will also be creating a new fund of just under $30 billion to support SMEs during the holidays. Another group that will be given additional support over the holiday period will be stall owners at traditional markets, with the total value of coupons issued that can be spent at stalls this year raised from 4 trillion won to 5 trillion won, or around $3.8 billion. But it's not just businesses that the government is supporting. People can buy train tickets for KTX and SRT trains at a discounted price for travel between February 9th and 12th. There'll also be a highway toll exemption during the same period. Prices of 16 food items that are typically used during memorial services during the Lunar New Year, such as apples and mackerel, will have bigger discounts. And as fruit prices have been climbing in South Korea, the government will be exempting trade tariffs for more types of fruit in order to import 300,000 tons of fruit and ensure the average price of products related to the holiday is lower than last year. In the meeting, the ruling party also spoke of the need for concrete measures to ease the burden of college tuition fees for students. Harirang, Arirang News.
South Korea says it will build the world's largest semiconductor cluster by 2047, with some $471 billion of investment by Samsung and SK hynix. This came at a policy briefing by the Ministers of Industry and Science to President Yoon Suk-yeol, who has been opening up 10-part series of government reports to members of the public. At the briefing in Suwon, Gyeonggi-do Province, the government plans to back corporate-led efforts to foster cutting-edge fabs, research labs, and other facilities needed to create a so-called chip industry mega cluster in the province. Noting that semiconductor industry in Korea enriches people's livelihoods, the president said the chip ecosystem could potentially create at least 3 million quality jobs. He called for all-out support, including sufficient electricity from nuclear energy to power the project, as well as continued tax incentives for chip farms. The South Korean government aims to bolster competitiveness in key industries such as semiconductors, displays, and rechargeable batteries by financing small and medium-sized businesses. The trade minister said on Monday it will supply more than 90 billion won, or $68 million of R&D support to such SMEs in 2024. This will be provided as low interest rate loans to increase independence for companies. Each company that participates can borrow up to some $3.8 million with an interest rate of 1.84% and repayment period of 3 years. The government plans to further expand the project by providing some $300 million of support over the next 4 years. Curtains came down on 4-day Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. With AI technology taking center stage, cross-industry collaboration was one of the prominent features at the tech show. Shin-Young has the highlights.
World-renowned tech show CES 2024 came to a close on Friday in Las Vegas after showcasing a diverse array of technology driven by AI for daily use. According to the Consumer Technology Association, over the course of the week, some 4,300 exhibitors and 135,000 attendees came together for major announcements, product launches, and the opportunity to collaborate. As anticipated with the theme All Together, All On, this year's CES featured AI technology from across a variety of industries. As if to underscore this year's theme, among the keynote speakers was America's biggest retailer, Walmart, participating in CES for the first time, where it described how the integration of AI across its website will be used to study shopper behavior. French cosmetics giant L'Oreal also took the stage, marking the first ever keynote at CES by a beauty company.
We believe that tech can push the boundaries of what's possible, help us improve the lives of consumers around the world, and cater to the infinite diversity of beauty needs and aspirations of every individual.
CES 2024 served not only as a venue for exhibitors to showcase their cutting-edge technologies, but also as a place for collaboration between industries.
Germany's automation company Siemens teamed up with Sony to launch a new mixed reality headset equipped with AI this year. Walmart unveiled a generative AI search tool that enables shoppers to search for products by specific use cases instead of one item at a time by combining Microsoft's AI models with its shopper data. Collaboration was easily observed by South Korean firms as well. Samsung Electronics and Hyundai Motor Group have partnered to integrate their platforms to connect living spaces and mobility. It allows users to control things, including starting their car from inside the house or turning off home appliances from the car. Like last year, human security was a key future agenda, indicating that the advancement of technologies represented by AI should be used to solve crises facing humanity. South Korean tech giants LG Electronics and Samsung Electronics have identified security as the foremost task in the AI era, emphasizing the need for strong security against potential threats. CES returns to Las Vegas for 4 days starting on January 7th next year. 신하영, Arirang News.
Strawberry farmers here are opting to expand their cultivation of certain strawberry varieties to allow for greater choice and competitiveness. Chung Eun-ju explains.
The Kingsberry strawberry is known for its subtle peach aroma and juiciness, while the Alta King variety is large and tangy, appealing to middle-aged consumers. The latter is also suitable for export because they are firm and their sugar content quickly increases even when picked at 50% ripeness.
Compared to Solhyang, they're harvested about a month earlier. Since strawberries aren't available at that time, they can be sold at a higher price, which greatly benefits the growers.
Currently, 82% of strawberries in South Korea are the Solhyang variety. While Solhyang sweetness makes them popular, there's a need for variety to align with diverse consumer preferences. To address this, the Rural Development Administration conducted a project in 2023 distributing new strawberry varieties like Kumsil, Highberry, and Alta King to 40 farms across 16 districts. Compared to Solhyang, these new varieties have increased income by more than 6%, with 85% of growers expressing satisfaction.
As consumer taste diversifies, this diversification project is an opportunity to present consumers with lots of varieties instead of confining them to a single type.
Applying the cut-flowering grafting technique, which simultaneously cuts and roots offspring from the mother plant, has increased strawberry yield significantly.
The advantage lies in receiving and planting strawberry seedlings all at once. So I think the biggest advantage is that strawberries can age at a constant rate.
The cultivation area for strawberries has decreased since 2010 due to the aging rural population and abnormal temperatures. The Rural Development Administration plans to focus on developing new strawberry varieties and implementing innovative technologies to address labor shortages while appealing to consumer tastes. Chung Eun-ju, Arirang News.
South Korean badminton player An Se-young has won the Badminton World Federations Malaysia Open and beat Taiwan's Tai Tzu-ying by 2-6-1 in Sunday's final match at the Axiata Arena in Kuala Lumpur. This is the first time that she has won an international competition since winning the Hangzhou Asian Games in 2023. The world's top-ranked player in women's singles has been struggling with a knee injury since the Asian Games.
Let's take a look at the latest news in the world now. In Ecuador, police and military on Sunday reportedly freed all prison staff members who had been held hostage by inmates. The Ecuadorian government deployed not only soldiers and police, but even tanks for the national operation. Ecuador's SNAI prison agency confirmed that all 158 guards and 20 administrative staff held hostage at 7 jails since last Monday have now been freed following the security forces' operation on Saturday evening. It also said that 1 prison guard was killed and 1 injured while held captive. Ecuador President Daniel Noboa declared a 60-day state of emergency last week following the national security crisis involving a violent TV station takeover explosions in several cities, and kidnapping of police officers. The nationwide chaos followed the escape from prison of Ecuador's most powerful crime boss, Adolfo Macias of the Los Choneros gang, last Sunday. In Denmark, King Frederick X ascended the throne on Sunday. The new Danish monarch was seen welcomed in by large and admiring crowds who gathered in Copenhagen. The 55-year-old new monarch had his succession publicly proclaimed by the Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen from the balcony of the Christiansborg Palace, as per tradition since the Constitution of 1849. King Frederick is taking over the crown from his mother, 83-year-old Queen Margrethe II, who signed a declaration of her abdication in a meeting of the Council of State on Sunday after serving 52 years as monarch. In Colombia, a deadly mudslide has killed at least 34 people and injured dozens. The mudslide struck a road connecting the cities of Quibdó and Medellín on Friday. The governor's office for the Choco region said on Saturday that only 17 of the 34 bodies had been identified. Colombian President Gustavo Petro described the landslide as a horrible tragedy, and Vice President Francia Marquez said that a number of people are still trapped under the landslide, including several children. In Iceland, lava from a volcanic eruption in the early hours of Sunday morning set houses alight in the fishing town of Grindavik in the country's southwest. The volcano on the Reykjanes Peninsula erupted for the second time in less than a month amid an increase in seismic activity. Authorities evacuated the 4,000 inhabitants of the town the day before, with the town's main road blocked by lava flow. Iceland's Prime Minister called it a black day for Grindavik and a black day for all of Iceland, before adding that the sun will rise again. Sunday marked the fifth eruption on the Reykjanes Peninsula since 2021. Kim Seong, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. Hope you put on extra layers today. Yesterday's wintry precipitation brought bitterly cold air to the country, and sharp winds are dragging down the feels-like temperatures even lower, with a cold wave advisory issued in parts of Gyeonggi-do and Gangwon-do provinces. Bundle up and stay safe on the roads. There could be patches of ice from yesterday's wet weather. Figures will stay colder than norms throughout the day today and into tomorrow morning, before easing up from tomorrow afternoon. There has been a huge drop in afternoon highs as well, 1 to 10 degrees lower than yesterday, topping out at just 1 degree Celsius here in Seoul, Gwangju at 5 degrees Celsius. Sunny skies are in the forecast nationwide with decent air quality. After the cold snap eases tomorrow afternoon, there will not be a major cold snap for the rest of this week. Meanwhile, east of Gangwon-do in southern provinces could receive a wintry mix at the end of the week. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
With Taiwan electing pro-independence Lai Ching-te as its new president, China could possibly increase its pressure, either militarily or economically. And the world is closely watching the situation, as a conflict, should it occur, could see global GDP fall by 1/10, according to Bloomberg. South Korea will be among the most heavily affected, as 60% of its energy supplies pass through the Taiwan Strait. The first key event to look out for will be China's pivotal plenary sessions in March, when its stance on Taiwan will be decided. Then in May, when Lai Ching-te actually takes office. and in November, when the U.S. decides its new president, who will also shape Taiwan-China relations.